Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Digital Mittelstand. My name is Can and I help small and medium businesses, so Mittelstand, to overcome their digital transformation challenges. Today, I have Christoph Kesselmeier with me. He is the co-founder and senior consultant at Process Science. He's very experienced when it comes to business process management and process mining. Today's episode title will be Business Intelligence and Beyond for Mittelstand. Welcome, Christoph. Please introduce yourself.
Well, Jan, thanks for having me. My name is Christoph Kesselmeier. I'm one of the founders of Process Science, obviously, as you already said. And I personally come from a very technical background, starting with systems administration in the last millennium, and moved on to do other technical things like identity management for big companies. And at one point in time, my colleague Ursula, who's one of the co-founders now, introduced me to the idea of process mining. And it made so much sense that I couldn't understand what she was trying to explain to me, because I thought it was already there. It must already have been there. Mm-hmm. And so I started to work in her department in the consulting company that I was at the time. And she was the head of process mining, and I had some, very technical admin expertise, like knowledge about source systems, databases, and stuff. And a third guy from that company, Lukas Schroth, joined this team. And at one point in time, we decided that the tooling that we used for process mining was lacking for the customers that we had. And we decided to build our own tools and found our own company. And that's why we exist now since about Halloween 2019, if I remember correctly. I think that's the first official date when we were founded. So we are 4 founders. The 4th person is Gordon. I think that's the guy that usually does the first contact. He's very networked. And Gordon I know for a little more than 10 years now. He, at that point that he was introduced to the magics of process mining, he was the CEO of a big furniture company. And he immediately understood what process mining is about. And that's why he wanted to join. And that's what he did, and that's where we are now. So it's 4 founders and an assortment of freelancers and people doing the stuff that we can't actually do. So that's maybe about my age. I'm 48 now. And
you look way younger.
Company, that's the camera. I put the focus off.
I want to buy the same camera as well then.
So we are Lucas is the youngest in his late 20s. Then Ursula, then it's Gordon, and then the oldest person is me. So we have quite a spread age-wise, and that's proved to be very, very useful to have, like, let's say, older minds and younger minds in a startup. And it's currently, it's a lot of fun. I really have to say it was the right decision to make. It's exhausting, but it's fun. So
looks the same from this angle as well. And yes, I also met with Gordon at like the first point of contact, and he introduced the company, what you guys are doing, and which I want to talk about more later on, what you guys exactly do besides process mining as well as besides business intelligence. But before I move to that part, I would like to ask, as you actually said, you explained it to Gordon, so someone coming not from IT, but he picked up the idea so fast. And then I can combine that great example with my question, that can you describe process mining in simple terms, as if you explained to Gordon, somebody who's not coming from IT, especially from the Mittelstand. What is process mining in simple terms?
Um, Sometimes I say it's kind of a digital trash picking and making sense of it all. Like if you're an archaeologist and go to Rome and look into the different artifacts that are there, and then you try to rebuild what happened, how a Roman fast food restaurant operated, where the customers lined up, what products they had, what products they sold most, when the customer paid, and stuff like that. And that's what we actually do. If you are especially if you are a company in the Mittelstand, you often don't have an idea on what your actual processes are to achieve what you are achieving, because your company has grown from a smaller company, or maybe it's a family company through 2 generations or something. And then you may ask a consultant to come into your company and to figure out how to optimize parts of your processes. And I have one example that I stole from my colleague Ursula. She was a consultant working for a big aviation company, and her job was to record the processes that they had in a specific area, to do some compliance checking and some optimization. And she was there for months, and she discussed a lot with all the stakeholders and the bosses of the stakeholders. And she recorded what she was told. And in the end, they had huge maps of processes that were discussed again with stakeholders and corrected, of course, and maybe even a little polished if there was some unfortunate path between events that may make a bad impression to someone. And so in the end, she presented the results, and then someone came to her and said, well, that's exactly what we have done 6 months ago, or what we did 6 months ago. But in the meantime, we had multiple changes. And well, that's usually what process, what makes obvious the need of some other means. So process mining just take the digital recordings of everything that happened in your company, for example, from an ERP system. And then, like in the Roman example, it reconstructs what happened. So it rebuilds a process, it draws you a diagram, and you can just inspect the transitions between different events or states, and just see, okay, the customers are lining up here when they're buying the fish, but they don't line up if they are buying the chicken. So we may need more people preparing the fish, but then the bottleneck may be somewhere in front of the process, and the deliveries for the fish may be late already. So I already know that I will have less fish in a few days. And well, that's just very roughly is process mining. That's what my colleague tried to explain to me like 10-ish years ago. And I thought, okay, if I have SAP as a system, I will of course get an answer to a question like, okay, how long does it take on average from here to there, or does it take longer if something happens in between, like if Christoph does something specific on within the process, does it take longer than if John does something specific in the process, or if I have some logistics data, for example, somewhere can I already see from the history of my company whether something happening now will influence my outcome in the future, or if there are contradictions. For example, if I have an order that is okayed by you, but that is changed later on to become a bigger order. Like I'm telling you, I'm going to buy a pack of pencils, and in the end, I will buy one of the new MacBooks because I changed the order, and this will all be in the digital, let's say, pile of your company. And if we make sense of it, then we can just easily track those events and set alarms and say, okay, some compliance check was triggered. Have a look into what Christoph is doing. So, well, she told me that it wasn't there, and I was, I couldn't believe it, because, well, from a technical perspective, that's, I'm ordered not to say trivial, but from a technical perspective, the data is there. You can make sense of it. It's just putting it into the right order, figuring out what events belong to each other, and then calculate some key figures that are interesting for you.
Yeah.
So I hope I made some sense of it for you. So
Definitely.
Maybe digital trash picking or archaeology is the most approachable term.
It's a nice analogy, and it made me think about, so as in your colleague's example, she made the process discovery and she made the process compliance. So both very important phases of business process management are there, both done by process mining in addition to the BPM tool that is being used. If it's an aviation company, they definitely have a BPM tool in the background connected with the ERP system, as well as mentioned, but also data mining, task mining, so that make useful things out of the trash, as in your example, and see some variance. What's the difference between the way that John and Christoph work, for example? So to summarize your analogy, those are my what I understood. And let's take those pillars as you mentioned and apply it to the Mittelstand. So what would be the use cases of process mining for Mittelstand, especially in your terms when combined with the business intelligence?
I think the business intelligence aspect and the process mining aspect should not be separated from each other. The customer, or especially the Mittelstand, who may not be on a too academic journey, but more interested in actually doing what they can do best, their job, providing their service or their products. Especially for them, it's not so interesting whether they are doing process mining or business intelligence or where those are separated. But the important thing is that they will already be doing business intelligence, even if they don't know it. Even if you're just doing your taxes, you're doing business intelligence, because you have to figure out what happened, where, what projects you sold, how much income you had, and or revenue in the end you had, and that's all business intelligence. But for the Mittelstand, if they don't have, let's say, digital business intelligence that could answer more complex questions and give them the chance to drill down, for them, they often don't even have an idea about their processes at all. So they work as they always did. Maybe they are doing a lot of unstructured stuff, or stuff that is implicitly structured by people doing things on paper like they did 50 years ago. And maybe they moved from the fact. I'm not trying to make jokes. I've seen these things, things that are done using email instead of a tool that I use to record a specific offer that I'm doing to a company. And for a Mittelstand company, I think on the path to digital transformation, the most important thing in the beginning is to figure out what they are actually doing before they consider to change anything. So if I try to optimize my company to survive the 21st century, especially in the conditions that we currently have, I'm in the massive danger of making decisions that I cannot measure, what impact I cannot measure directly. Some like I'm going to optimize my O2C process, my order to customer process, by using some off-the-shelf tools or using some additional consultants like us, but I don't define what my actual motivation is, or what my destination is on this journey, because I don't have an idea about my point of origin in the beginning. Where am I? Where do I start? I know that I want to be competitive, but I don't actually know where I currently am. Well, I want to be competitive. I want to use tools like robotic process automation and all of this modern stuff. But I will automate something. I will change something, and I will have no idea about whether it is actually changing what I want to be changing, like the process in a specific area. So we need to gather a point of origin, or locate our point of origin on the map, and then even the Mittelstand, even if all the knowledge and the strategy is in the mind of the 60 years old owner and patriarch of the family or something, that has to be found in the processes of the company. And it has to be broken down into measurable things, like these things usually happen in this and that order, or these things usually take this and that long, before I start changing that and optimizing that. So I see process mining in the beginning of the digital journey, by taking whatever digital pile of information you have, and start with that and say, okay, even if we only have a very small set of digital information, we just take this, try to make sense of it, and then try to maybe add additional tools from different areas. I think I got off the path of this question a little.
No. You are definitely on a good point, because you said digital, so process mining should be in the initial phase of the digital transformation, so in the beginning. And this relates to very well to my next question, which is, what are the prerequisites of process mining? So if it's in the beginning, so there shouldn't be so much prerequisites. But can you please explain that?
Yeah, of course, I need to have digital information in some way, and I need to have an idea of a motivation to do this. We often see digitalization projects that are just doing it for the D in digitalization. So we're digital now. So we usually start to build a proof of value, or maybe even proof of concept with a prospective customer, or with a customer. That is, we just ask, what ideas do you have? Just currently, they don't have to be the ideas that you will implement in a year or so. Just what are your current questions? What is your pain? And what data do you already have? And then we just implement a very, very small solution for them that shows the process data in connection with classical BI data. Classical BI data is how many chickens did we sell? How much chicken receipts are there? And we'll just take the chicken receipts and classical business intelligence and count them and sum them up. And maybe we can even slice the stack and say, okay, we know these are chickens from Sicily or so, and these are the chicken from Germany, and those sell better than those. Well, that's usually what companies have as a business intelligence idea that is sometimes realized in Excel. And so we need some digital data in a way, and we need the understanding that process mining will bring change. That sounds maybe a little frightening, but it's a form of changing the perspective that the stakeholders in the company have, because they usually have a perspective that is only focused on their realm of responsibility, let's say. So what we need is a understanding of that that there has to be a change to look at the company or the process at least, as a whole thing. So people will get a tool that lets them see all of the process. Like this will be sometimes very unwelcome, because I have my cozy area that I'm in, and I'm doing exactly I'm entering exactly 17 invoices per day, and that will be, of course, visible then in the bigger context. So on the path from order to invoice, will be visible that there is a bottleneck. So to successfully implement any process perspective, I'm avoiding the process mining now, you need to be willing to change the perspective of the stakeholders on their company, and so you need support from high up to successfully implement a process mining solution. So if you're in a Mittelstand company, the way to the higher levels usually is rather short compared to a huge multinational enterprise. That's why I think that Mittelstand companies often have an easier way to implement solutions like this.
Advantage, I would say. And
yeah, an advantage, yes.
Mittelstand. That's why I love the Mittelstand. They have a big possibility, but you mentioned something that there is the change element involved, and of course digital transformation is a change itself, and I always say it starts with the people. For me, it's the first pillar is the people. I use 3 pillars in order to describe digital transformation, and it always starts with people, processes, and then technology. And I start
Yes.
with people because you mentioned the exact same thing. It's a matter of change, and people, especially the executives from the Mittelstand, needs to accept this change and buy responsibility for that, buy in responsibility for that, so that they can implement solutions, technological solutions like process mining, as you said. So did I summarize it correctly? What your
Very well. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. So very well. That's I may have a little one caveat to add. We're currently only speaking about core business processes. So process mining can be used in a lot of different areas too. Like it can be used to optimize environmental aspects or software testing or things like these. I just want to add that little thing, because that's I want to keep the minds of people open to see the idea of process mining everywhere. But you're absolutely right. If we're introducing such a powerful tool in a company that will bring transparency, we will have to have people on board. Otherwise, they will find ways to make this a failure.
Yeah,
basically, and I can completely understand that. If I'm not on board with a change, then I will either leave or try to avoid that change. But usually, people are, especially in medium-sized companies, people are very interested in these things. Like, even as a means to justify what they are currently doing and to get an overview and to optimize what their department is doing or their realm of responsibility is. So, well, that's the cultural thing, I'll call it. So we have the people thing, so the culture thing. We have the process thing, of course. And then we have the technical thing that is, or the technical area. And there I often see well, let's say it like this: process mining and process mining in business intelligence, that is adding business intelligence and process mining into one single tool, has is a huge screen for projection. So if I show someone what can be done, they will start to extrapolate what they can imagine to do their job better.
Yeah.
And there's a huge number of possibilities there. I can from the beginning, I can build a concept that includes every digital information that I may think I have in my company. And we will just, we try to tell our customers that it's usually, it makes more sense to start small, to say, we have this area, this information we already have, let's take it and let's see what we can make of it.
Yeah.
Whether Jan and Christoph are still on board when they can see what they're actually doing and where the bottlenecks are, and that moment that they happen to see a part of the company, the company's processes, they will just take your mouse when you show that and start exploring, and they will drill down and they will find things. And we had one client that was really fun, who a logistics company, and the one of the owners directly drilled into the process diagrams the first process diagrams, and drilled into them. And we were still like, okay, this is what is in the data, but it needs expertise to make sense of it. And he just said, yeah, but oh, I can't see it. This is where they take advantage of us, some cooperation partner, but we know it, and it is this point where I can see the number. And a few minutes later, they found something that couldn't actually happen in the data, like the order of some events was just the other way around. And so they had a very simple visualization of their logistics process, like a container process. Something is put on ship, brought somewhere, and maybe put on train tracks later on and stuff like that. And the order was off, but they already had a BI system that calculated something based on that number. So after years, they realized that one of their calculation must be wrong, because some events were obviously happening in a different order in the data. And well, that's the most fun moment of doing any process mining or process integration project for a company.
That was a great example, Christoph. Thank you. And you said start small. Should I take this as your top suggestion for Mittelstand owners and managers?
Yes, start small, but start now. So you cannot afford to wait until the pain is visual. Oops. You cannot afford to wait until you're really in pain. So you have to understand it now, but you have to start now. Yeah. So I think that's one of the key takeaways. It doesn't have to be really expensive. You will need a BI tool anyways to know what chicken to sell or what fish to sell. So then from the beginning, try to add the information on how the dishes are prepared. If you already have that, just add it. It's not that complicated. It can be used to do rocket science, but it's not in general rocket science.
Yeah. Thank you, Christoph. Thank you for your inputs. One last question would be how people can find you.
Well, the easiest way is our website, of course. It's process.science. Or just send me an email. That's CK for Christoph Kesselmeier at process.science. Or CK at process-science.com if your mail client doesn't work like that. You find us on LinkedIn. It's very hard to avoid Gordon on LinkedIn because he's really passionate about process mining. We are currently planning to do some webinars exactly on the idea of just start small, start somewhere that you understand, and we want to take away this huge process mining topic that is extremely expensive and complicated and so on. We will just say, well, basically it's business intelligence, and you can do that, or ask us how to do that.
Yes, I will put the links on the description of your LinkedIn profile, if that's okay for you. And please invite me to your webinar as well. I will be definitely there.
You're one of the first guests, I promise. I'm really looking forward to see you again, Can.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. And thank you for this great conversation, Christoph.
Thanks.